Money habits are important, and the sooner that you can build them, the higher the likelihood that you will eventually build wealth. Hello, my name is Kyle, and I help people learn and grow through 4 pillars: your mind, body, finances, and of course, gratitude. This video will be a continuation of last week's video, which talked about budgeting and money allocation. I figured I'd split the video into 2 different parts because it was going to be a very long video if not. So we have 2 videos. This part today will be all about investments, the 3 different main types of investment accounts, specifically in Canada, and how you can go about starting your investment journey with a little bit of what I've done trickled in between. So if you guys haven't seen last week's video, definitely check that out right now. Watch it before this one. You'll have a little bit more context going into this because my goal is to help you create a better money plan, something that you can execute in the next 1 to 3 months and end up using your entire life. So with that being said, let's get on with the video. A lot of people like to use online companies like Fidelity, Vanguard, Wealthsimple, online brokerage accounts to do their investing. I started my investment journey with my bank account. This may not be the permanent future of my investment money. However, that's where I started, and I just thought I'd be transparent with you guys. So in terms of investments, people use investments to grow and protect their money. What does this mean? Investments utilize something called compound interest in order to earn money over time. So what that means for you and me is that, let's take the S&P 500, for example. For those of you who don't know what that is the USA's 500 biggest companies. Now, that fund is typically used to track a standard of market growth over time, and it usually makes a return of 6 to 10%. So using the more conservative end of 6%, if you drop $100,000 into an S&P 500 fund today, in 1 year, you will make about $6,000 just for letting it sit there. Not bad, right? Now, if you put that same $100,000 in at 6% and let that sit for 40 years, you'll end up with about $1,028,400-ish. I'll pop up the numbers somewhere here so you can see, but that is the power of compound interest. You put money in, you let it sit, and it makes money over time. When it comes to Canadian investing, there's typically 3 main accounts that give you tax advantages. Number 1 is the tax-free savings account. The benefit of this account is that you put in your after-tax dollars, meaning after the government has taken their portion of your paycheck away and to themselves, you are left with the net amount. In this case here, we have $4,360. So you use some of that after-tax income to invest into your TFSA, and now after that money sits for 30, 40, 50 years, when you finally take it out, you will not be taxed on that money or the interest that it has gained in that time. That's awesome. And due to this, it's typically the first account that people open when they start investing, around 18 to 20 years old. Now, the second account is the RRSP, your Registered Retirement Savings Plan. This one works a little bit differently in the sense that it uses your pre-tax dollars, so your money before it gets taxed. So that goes into your RRSP, and as that grows over time, by the time you want to take money out, then it will be taxed at your income rate. Just to say that differently, because you aren't taxed on that money when it goes in, you will be taxed on that money when it comes out. The government always has to get their share. Another benefit to this account is it is tax deductible, meaning if you put $1,000 into this account and you make $100,000 a year, now that's a tax write-off in a sense. So you will only be taxed on $99,000 of those $100,000 that you make. So if you're able to put away $1,000 per year, at the end of the year, you subtract your total gross income by $12,000, and now you only get taxed on the remaining $88,000. And that money typically comes back to you in a form of a tax refund, which then can also be reinvested into your RRSP or TFSA. Now, before we move on to the third account, the first home savings account, we must mention that there are some limitations to the above mentioned accounts. For example, the TFSA, the year you turn 18, your contribution room opens. So if you don't start investing for 5 years, you are able to utilize those previous 5 years as contribution room. So your room just gets bigger and bigger every year you wait. Using myself, for example, as an example, I am 23 years old. I opened my account last year at 22. I turned 18 in the year of 2020, which means once you add up all of my available contribution years, I have somewhere around $38,000 of available contribution room. And say somehow you've opened your account and you've already maxed it out, the there is a maximum available limit per year. So for example, 2025 has an available limit of about $7,000. I think per month that divides up to about $548 per month to stay maxed out at your cap. There is a way to figure out how much contribution room you have. You can go to the CRA, you can check their website, and it'll provide you with that information. However, it is important to note that once you exceed, or if you exceed your contribution room, all of your additional contributions will be taxed. So yeah, if you just recently graduated or you are still a young kid around my age in low to mid 20s, then it might take a couple years to max out this account. Now on to investment account number 3 is the first home savings account. The benefit to this account is that it kind of utilizes the best of both worlds from each the TFSA and the RRSP, in the sense that like an RRSP, your money that gets put into this account is tax deferred. So pre-tax money gets put into this account, it grows, and then once you decide to take out that money, now it uses similarities like the TFSA. So now if you go to buy your first home, you can use that money and take it out without getting taxed. So now you've just saved tax on both ends. However, that is only for the purpose of buying your first qualified home. A caveat to this account is that once you open it, you have only 15 years to utilize the money and contribution room in this account, and you only have a max contribution limit of $40,000. So yeah, if you plan to buy your first home, this might be the account that you want to consider first, as you are able to put in pre-tax dollars and remove it without getting taxed on it, provided it is for a home. Another benefit of this is that if you do not buy a home in the first 15 years of having this account, you can transfer your funds into your RRSP tax-free.
Woohoo!
So depending on who you are, you might open a TFSA first or an FHSA first, but at the end of the day, now you understand the 3 different tax accounts, and you can be well on your way to understanding how to utilize your investments. Now, before we wrap up the video, I asked some questions on my stories, if anyone had any about investments and savings and budgeting. So we're going to answer 2 questions in this video. The first one is, how did I get into investing? My answer to that would be, after graduation, I kind of realized that I need to understand money because school didn't teach any of this. So I got really into audiobooks, regular books, and just learning on the internet, YouTube, and through family friends who are in this space. And I went super hard into it. I tried to learn as much as I could, and the most important thing was just taking action, opening the accounts, trying it for myself, and figuring it out as I go. And number 2, which I might have mentioned briefly, is what accounts to open and what specifically to invest in. Now, in this video, I won't go over what specifically to invest in. I did mention that some people love to utilize the online brokerages like Wealthsimple, Vanguard, Fidelity, and that I just opened up my accounts in my regular bank account, which may be seen as a good thing or bad thing. At this stage in the game, I don't think it really makes a difference. However, this might not be where my money stays permanently. Now, in the beginning of the video, I mentioned the most basic and simple step about budgeting. Never spend more than you earn. So everyone has 2 choices in order to budget better. Either spend less or make more money. Stay tuned for my future video, which will talk about life insurance policies and other assets that you can use to your advantage. As I wrap up the video, I'd just like to say thank you guys so much if you have made it this far. I hope this video has been informative and that you learned at least something. And if you have any questions, let me know down below. I will be sure to answer all of them. And if you enjoyed, drop a like, subscribe for more, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.